It's safe to say at the moment WWE are having a bit of what we might call an injury epidemic going on. Some of their top stars, quite a few of them actually, have been sidelined and a few of them are expected to return. However, some of them most definitely are not. How do you go about tackling that issue? I'm not too sure. That's a whole other issue for a different video. Right now, I want to talk to you about the 15 injured WWE stars and when they're set to return. Now first off we have Singh, who got injured during the match between Bobby Roode and Jinder Mahal for the US Championship. Singh missed WWE's live events the weekend. He wasn't there for SmackDown, but the modern day Maharaja's lackey did say on Instagram that he had torn his ACL and has undergone surgery. There's been no official word on when he will return, but it tends to be about 6 to 8 months for ACL tears, so you can expect to see him around about that time schedule. The former Divas champion Paige was hit with some horrible news 2 weeks ago when she was told that her days as an in-ring competitor for WWE were likely to be over. She was injured at a house show on December 28th, and apparently she has not been medically cleared to compete for WWE again. Neither Paige nor the company have officially confirmed it, but she has been removed from the inaugural Women's Royal Rumble, and what a shame that is, because someone like Paige probably deserves to be there. If it does turn out to be true, it is literally an impossibly cruel way for her in-ring career to end, especially after 18 months of her trying to get back on the straight and narrow after everything that happened. Kendrick was handed a very early and probably very unwelcome Christmas present from Hideo Itami when he hit him with the GTS on the December 25th episode of Raw, fracturing his orbital socket and his nasal bridge. Now Kendrick's absence doesn't exactly leave any gaping plot holes, no more than Neville's walkout did, or the fact that Enzo Amore is now being released, and that's the current champ, so that's pretty problematic. But the injury could keep Kendrick out until February or March, unless the man with the plan has a way to get himself back in a swifter time schedule. Now, the Psycho Killer, Tommaso Ciampa, hasn't been seen since last May after he betrayed Johnny Gargano at TakeOver Chicago. A ruptured cruciate anterior ligament has kept Ciampa from furthering that storyline at all, but with Johnny Gargano set to take on Almas at TakeOver Philadelphia this weekend, you can't help but get the feeling that Ciampa's return could be extremely imminent. Now granted, he would be a few weeks ahead of the prognosis. However, if he does return this weekend or not, whenever it happens, I can guarantee you one thing, and it's that when them two get together, Gargano versus Ciampa, that isn't just going to be the match of the year, that's going to be the match of the goddamn century. Now there's a strong chance we've seen the last of the Big Show in a WWE ring. Currently sidelined with an undisclosed hip issue, it's a mystery when, or even if to be fair, the Big Show will ever return for in-ring action again. His contract is also set to expire in February, so it is quite possible we may have seen the last of the Big Show, considering he said he wanted to retire after his current contract ended. Now there's definitely no such thing as a good injury, but Big Cass's injury at the moment might just turn out to be an absolute blessing in disguise. Fair to say his heel run was an absolute disaster. It wasn't really going anywhere. The stuff with Enzo wasn't great, but the big thing here is that with the 9-month absence that he's had, WWE effectively have a chance to completely tear the character to pieces and start again from the ground up. Cass suffered a torn ACL while working Enzo Amore last year, and he's currently at the Performance Center rehabbing as we speak. A return in time for WrestleMania weekend is an absolute best case scenario, but more realistically is probably going to be late spring for Cass's return. Noam Dar hasn't wrestled since last November after he tore his meniscus during a fatal 4-way match on 205 Live. The Scot had suffered through several lingering issues up until the point where he did the tear, but since December he has had successful surgery and is on the road to recovery. Now to be fair, it's a fairly common injury amongst athletes, this one, but it also does come with a lengthy rehab process, which means Dar probably isn't going to be back until around April or May this year. Drew McIntyre walked into TakeOver War Games as the NXT champion with a call up to the main roster probably on the not too distant horizon, and by the time he walked out he had a torn bicep, he had a much lighter waist, and he had several months to look forward to on the treatment table. McIntyre suffered the injury during his title defense against Andrade Cien Almas, and while at the time it did look like they might have been putting on some kind of work during the match, it was sadly confirmed after the match that McIntyre was officially injured. Now it's a massive shame because McIntyre was right in the middle of his hottest run in the company to date, but if the Scot has proved one thing, it's that when he takes a setback, he goes away, reevaluates, and comes back stronger and better than ever. So expect to see him back and maybe even on the main roster for SmackDown or Raw sometime in and around WrestleMania weekend. Now given the fact that Jeff Hardy has little to no regard for his health or well-being, it's amazing that he hasn't suffered more major injuries in his 24-year career. Nevertheless, the dynamic Daredevil has been missing since September last year when he suffered a torn rotator cuff. And it's also been reported that Hardy's using that time to take care of some other minor injuries that he's had along the way, so don't expect him to be back for another few months. But when he does return, we could well be in line for the enigmatic debut of Brother Nero. Falling victim to, quite frankly, an absolute twatful bit of idiocy from a fan, Kalisto was injured after someone threw a bottle at him during an episode of 205 Live. Kalisto did fortunately return the week after, however he hasn't been seen since, but nevertheless it seems like he'll probably be returning to full-time action imminently. I think we can all probably agree that the Shield's reunion has been little more than an absolute disaster. They've had some terrible misfortune, to be fair. Roman Reigns got a viral infection, so he missed TLC, although that did give us Kurt Angle as part of the Shield, which was super cool, and his in-ring return, which everybody was really looking forward to. Unfortunately, Dean Ambrose is not going to be as lucky as Roman, who was back the next week, after Ambrose suffered a triceps injury during the December 20th episode of Raw, which looks set to keep him out of action, unfortunately, for 9 months, according to WWE.com. It means we probably won't see the Lunatic Fringe until the late summer at the very earliest, but on a more positive note, it means he's probably got a ready-made storyline to come back to. The WWE kind of twisted the narrative a little bit and made Samoa Joe the guy who had injured Ambrose, so that's going to be set up for those two to compete against each other, and to be fair, that'll be a great match. So let's try and look at the positives rather than look at the fact we're going to be missing him for 9 months. Now, he did appear on this week's episode of Raw, but it's believed Jason Jordan might be carrying a little injury at the moment. PWInsider.com did release a story saying that Jordan had been pulled from a bunch of weekend live dates. However, they did stop short of releasing any further details at this time. Anybody who saw Raw 25 will know that Jordan was part of it. He didn't really take part in any physical stuff. It seems like they're trying to keep him out of action. I don't know whether or not that's going to be a long-term thing or short-term thing. Maybe they're just playing it by ear at the moment, but we'll have to wait to see about that one. Now, we did have one big kind of swerve this week on SmackDown just before the Royal Rumble, which is obviously taking place in a few days' time. AJ Styles was set to take on Sami Zayn in a singles match and Kevin Owens, with Owens fighting him first, and the idea was that if either of the two interfered in the other one's match, it would turn the handicap match on this Sunday into a normal, bog-standard one-on-one match. Eyebrows were hugely raised though when Kevin Owens tapped out after 1 minute in his match against AJ Styles. Didn't give any time for anybody to interfere or any sort of shenanigans, nothing like that. But the immediate thing was, what's wrong with Kevin Owens? Why is he not wrestling? Why have they put him in this 1 minute match? And it turns out that there's a chance that he could be nursing a back injury. There's a few different stories floating around about how serious Owens' back injury is. Some people believing it's quite a light thing, other people suggesting it might be worse, and WWE are perhaps trying to sort of incorporate that into the storyline with Styles, trying to cover up the fact that his back injury could stop him from having a big part in the match at the weekend. Now, at a Canadian house show last year in October, RTruth injured himself in a match against Elias. Now, we haven't seen Truth since, but there has been videos from him saying that he's undergone surgery and is now doing a lengthy rehab process to get that all fixed. Unfortunately, because of the mystery that's kind of surrounding all of that, his actual return there's no time we can kind of put onto that one, but obviously he's going to be out for a little while. And I guess also, given his age, the question is he going to maybe use that as a quiet way to retire and possibly go and try and continue his music career? Who knows? And last but not least, we have the absolutely irreplaceable Samoa Joe, who unfortunately suffered, I guess there's a really fancy way of saying this, but basically he got a little foot problem. Now, hopefully it's not going to be too long for Joe. Obviously, I know I kid about it being a little foot injury, but it's obviously serious. It's going to keep him out for several months. We don't want him to miss another WrestleMania. Last year he was clear to wrestle, but unfortunately didn't make the card. For WrestleMania 34, you'd expect him to be quite a big part of that, and we can only hope that he manages to get himself fit and fighting ready in time for that. And that's our video on the 15 WWE stars who are injured. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you know about a few more injuries that we've maybe missed? Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and as always, if you want more content like this, get yourself over to whatculture.com and get reading those articles, because there's some really good bloody writing on there and loads of other stuff. Just go and find it. It's there. It's great. You'll have a blast. Anyway, my name's Adam Nicholas, and as always, have a fucking great day.